sex, sex, sex. Hi there, I'm a baby boomer and I love sex. No, come to think of it, I really love sex. I'm Mo, the Black Baby Boomer, and welcome to my first podcast all about sex. This is not an online dating sex ad. This is the start of my new podcast, Zierotica. Yes, that's right. An uninhibited sexual baby boomer talking about sex. It's my form of verbal masturbation. I'm a hot-blooded, sexual female, who wants to share with you my sexual escapades, experiences, fantasies, and some silly humor, all centered around that spicy, physical, exhilarating, libido-driven, stress-relieving activity of sex and sexual expression. Okay, to some of you out there, when I say that I'm a baby boomer, you're probably asking yourself, why in the hell would I want to hear some old lady talk about sex? Then listen up to my sexual words of wisdom and wit. Just because I'm a woman of color, divorced, and pushing 60 doesn't mean that I'm all washed up, dried up, and sexless. All you beautiful boomers out there, hear me out. Stop looking in the mirror and counting your gray hairs, wrinkles, and your stretch marks. Stop telling yourself that because my husband is either no longer there with me, either because of divorce or death or just plain checked out emotionally, that my sex life is all burnt out. Stop that nonsense. You need to come out, you need to shout it from the rooftops, look in the mirror, and post on your social media platforms, I'm a sexy, sexual, and sensual being, and I want and love sex. Just do that and all kinds of adventures can open up for you. Like for instance, I recently moved to the south of Spain from America with my 27-year-old daughter, firstly to help bring more of a demand for YouTube video here, since that's what I've been working on for the past few years. And secondly, we wanted a change of pace, a change of environment, healthy food, and peace of mind. I'm not saying to up and relocate yourself to a foreign country. I'm suggesting that you just switch your brain to a place where you can start experiencing and taking in sensations that you've either never felt or perhaps felt them years ago and brushed them under your mental rug. I'm hoping that by being in a new country like Spain, it will help me get my creative and sexual juices flowing, more so than what I found in the United States for myself. And you've heard what they say about those hot Latin lovers, I'm sure. I'm giving it a try, actually. Let me share a little of what's happening lately in my life. Keelan and I are in the warm southern part of Spain, where I've heard the men are generally flirtatious, charming, and hot to trot, married or single. Every time I go walk around town doing our chores each week, the older Spanish men tend to check out my daughter because, being the hot and horny perverts that they are, and because social norms dictate this type of behavior in men, this is what los hombres español do around young women. Here, older men chase after the young girls. Does this sound really familiar to any of you? We all know this behavior exists everywhere. It's common practice for older men practically anywhere. Now, these old men don't even glance at me, mind you. They may look and compare me to other women on the street, but their eyes are on my daughter, who, by the way, looks about 16 years old, not 27. They do this sizing up from the chest down to the derriere and then the legs. I've seen almost all the men here in Spain do this gesture. Surprisingly, it's the young hot-blooded stallions who actually check me out and yell "wappa wappa" to me. Funny. You see, in the centuries-long Spanish social culture, the men marry the young girls as young as 16 years old, with parental or court approval. And believe it or not, that law recently changed from 14 years old for a young girl to legally marry to the age of 16. as of last year. Oh yeah, and again, believe this, in most U.S. states, children are allowed to marry under the age of 16. In fact, on average, there are around 13,000 children who married in the U.S. per year, and that number is increasing, frighteningly. Also, children as young as 13 years old are allowed to marry with their parents' approval in some states in the U.S. So, in my opinion, both countries are a bit on the backwards, barbaric, antiquated side in the way that they treat girls and women. And we'll save this subject for a future podcast discussion, okay? Quite a serious subject matter. The young men in Spain are usually pressured to marry young and start a family because of the old Catholic tradition. Now, today, young men are gradually putting off the serious commitment, marriage, and family roller coaster ride in lieu of dating women who are more sexually adventurous. These types of women are usually young foreign women who come to travel or work in Spain, or older women who have already been there, done that marriage and kid stint. Plus, younger men think that the older, more mature women have more sexual experience and are game to open and carefree sexual escapades. Excuse me. That's why I think that the young ones aren't looking at Keelan, because they don't want to be in a relationship quite yet. Okay, back to my podcast. So I'll sometimes talk about dating or sexing in Spain. I'll talk about how the macho Espanol hombre culture strongly influences and dominates the sexual air of this society, and how I really don't give a damn about it since I'm an independent and sensual woman. Now, this is my very first podcast, so join me while I wade through the undulating flow of sexual adventures each week. I'll cover exciting subjects such as sexual games, S&M, polyamorous pangender identity, and the emerging surrogate sex phenomenon of AI sexual communication. You know, I'm obsessed with this AI bot technology stuff. I've been playing with the software for about 6 years now. It may be a bit freaky to some of you, but if you have sexual fantasies, you'll get a big rise out of my sex bot spitting sex smack back at ya. And that's what I've been working on in the wee hours of the night, believe it or not. Believe me, no one's too old for some good old sex talk, erotic fantasizing, and most of all, sex. You're not going to get some sappy romantic shit from me, none of that boring soap opera stuff. But I will discuss at times some of the more socially mature aspects like sex education, health, birth control, and sexual responsibility in this new 21st century, Tinder-driven sexual revolution. I'll do my best to give you hella hot discussions with titillating and enticing experiences. I'm going to wrap this stuff up now, but if you crave more from my overly sexed up brain process, you can go buy my erotic adventure book titled Maestro Island by my pen name, Mo Townsend. Yes, that's me. On Kindle, Amazon Kindle, in ebook and soft copy formats. I write about zombieism and S&M in a Caribbean jungle setting that gradually turns into a bit of a wild orgy. Most of the situations in my book were influenced by 4 decades of my experiences in life traveling the world for work and for pleasures. So again, join me next week on my Zierotica podcast adventure. If you have any questions or ideas about what you want to listen to, then send me a note with your ideas and I'll do my best to cover that subject on a future show. My next episode will certainly be interesting, provocative, and steamy. Hasta luego, everybody, and happy sexing!